Hello everyone, I'm Kenshin. Welcome to Talking History. I would appreciate it if you could subscribe, like, comment, and share. Also, please turn on the notification bell. Thank you. Today's historical discussion is about the history of spy balloons. Recently, it's evident that the relationship between the CCP and the United States has deteriorated further. One reason is the appearance of spy balloons belonging to the CCP over the continental United States on January 28, 2023. They were detected entering the U.S. airspace north of the Aleutian Islands and moving over the land of Alaska. On February 1, they reached Montana, where the Malmstrom Air Force Base is located. This location not only houses missile silos, but also serves as the home of the 341st Missile Wing under the Air Force Global Strike Command, AFGSC. This incident sparked strong reactions from the U.S. public. Eventually, the U.S. Navy and Air Force were mobilized, and the spy balloons were shot down at an altitude of 65,000 feet, approximately 6 nautical miles off the coast of South Carolina. However, spy balloons are not a new phenomenon. In fact, they have been around for over 200 years. Today, let's explore how they came into existence with Kenshin. High-altitude meteorological balloon observations date back to 1896, pioneered by French meteorologist Théodore de Saussure. However, their military use predates this, with surveillance balloons being part of military strategy since the 18th century, used for both domestic and international espionage. They created a niche market in surveillance and became a permanent fixture in military essentials. The first recorded military use of balloons dates back to 1794 during the French Revolutionary Wars. And their first use for aerial surveillance was during the Battle of Fleurus against the UK, Germany, and the Netherlands, ultimately resulting in French victory. Now, let's turn our focus to the American continent. During the American Civil War, scientist and inventor Thaddeus S.C. Lowe became famous for manufacturing balloons in the 1850s. In 1861, he sold the rights to President Abraham Lincoln, and the Union Army's balloons reached heights of 1,000 feet. It's worth noting that the Confederate forces also utilized balloons, albeit with significantly less effectiveness. During the Civil War, Confederate soldiers attempted to shoot down balloons, but all failed. In fact, according to reports from the Galactic Gazette at the time, none of Lowe's 7 military balloons were destroyed in combat. He also invented a portable hydrogen generator to ensure the balloons didn't rely on city gas, which was quite successful. Although Lowe's company dissolved in 1863 due to changes in U.S. military leadership, military surveillance balloons were persistently used in almost every war until the late 19th century. Moving on to World War I, most combatants utilized balloons for enemy surveillance. Spy balloons became so effective that they became the primary targets for air forces worldwide. Records from the World War I Museum and Memorial indicate that the average ascent height of airship balloons during World War I ranged from 1,200 to 1,800 feet, powered by engines and driven by propellers, making them quite advanced. These balloons were massive, measuring almost 600,700 feet long. They had the advantage of large size and slow movement, allowing them to remain airborne for extended periods over land or sea. Additionally, they could carry a crew of balloonists, machine guns, and 2-ton bombs, demonstrating their offensive capability. How were they used in World War II? They transitioned to barrage balloons, which were smaller than airships and tethered to the ground with cables, primarily for defense against enemy aircraft raids. According to the World War II Museum, these balloons forced enemy planes to fly higher, reducing the effectiveness of low-altitude bombing attacks. Barrage balloons could reach heights of 14,764 feet and were sometimes equipped with explosives on their cables to destroy enemy aircraft, forcing many bombers to divert their routes. However, towards the end of the war, they became targets for German high-altitude bombers, resulting in diminished effectiveness. During World War II, Japan released balloon bombs designed by meteorologist Fu Go in 1942. From late 1944 to 1945, around 9,000 balloon bombs were sent to the United States, causing 300 observations. On May 5, 1945, they resulted in the deaths of a woman and 5 children in Oregon, marking the only civilian casualties on the U.S. mainland during World War II. After the war, Fu Go was convicted as a war criminal and sentenced to 7 years in prison. Following World War II, the United States initiated a series of balloon projects during the Cold War, primarily for reconnaissance purposes, including Project White Whale and others. Despite both successes and failures, these projects contributed to the ongoing development of technology. Project White Whale, launched in 1953 to monitor the Soviet Union, was the first high-altitude balloon intelligence project developed by the RAND Corporation and the U.S. Air Force. According to the U.S. State Department at the time, these balloons were used to overcome the lack of photographic and meteorological intelligence on the Soviet bloc's land. To this day, balloons are certainly not a covert form of intelligence. However, accidents remain a part of most major government surveillance efforts, at least to some extent. Not only used by the U.S. military in the Afghanistan war, they continue to be a part of military operations today. Despite spy balloons not being fast or stealthy, their cost is lower than satellites. They can fly above commercial air traffic without the need for refueling. Since the French Revolutionary Wars until today, countries have used balloons to land in areas where they seek intelligence, thus obtaining information they shouldn't have. This is the background story of surveillance balloons. Just like this recent incident where the US discovered China's espionage, such large-scale surveillance seems quite foolish. It's noteworthy that this is the first time a flying object has been shot down over US soil, a serious issue everyone is aware of. Returning to modern times, despite the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, repeatedly emphasizing that they are civilian unmanned airships, and not for intelligence purposes, and even stating that they reserved the right to respond to the US excessively using necessary means. After being shot down and sent to the FBI for examination, the balloons were found to carry explosives. The reality might once again embarrass them. Even mentioning the CCP establishing a stratospheric fleet, based on past experiences. They are likely to choose the worst options without a doubt. Perhaps the US-China relationship is reaching a tipping point, where confrontation is one way and there's no turning back.